Martha here with you. Today I want to share this little notebook that I've created. It is 8 1/4 by 4 1/2 and it is really cute. It has a 1-inch spine and it has 2 signatures inside, and it's closed up with a ribbon here. And then you open it up, and on the inside it has 2 individual signatures so that you can use it as a notebook. So I think it's really cute and very fast and easy to make, but super effective because it looks really professional with a really nice hard cover. So stay tuned and we will make this cute little notebook together. Okay guys, let's get started making our notebook, the cover for it. So the first thing you're going to need is 2 pieces of 8 1/2 by 11 cardstock. This is 65-pound Recollections white cardstock. You're going to need 2 pieces of medium weight chipboard that are 4 1/2 by 8 1/4, so 4 1/2 wide by 8 1/4 long. And you're going to need 2 of those. And then 1 piece of chipboard that is 8 1/4 by 1 inch. So it's 8 1/4 long by 1 inch wide. You need another piece of white cardstock that is 4 by 8, and this is just to cover the inside of our spine. And for the outside of the spine, this is optional. It's just an aesthetic, but I'm going to be using this material called Craft Tex, and it's kind of a paper fabric fusion kind of material, and it's really fun to work with, and it actually gives the spine a really nice look on the outside. And I just have a pack here that has several different colors, and I'm using this gray color today. So you will also need a wet glue of your choice. I'm using Fabri-Tac, especially for this stuff because it is a fabric fusion type paper. You're going to need some double-sided tape and a bone folder and a scissor. So these are the materials that we need to create our cover with. So the first thing we need to do is attach our 2 pieces of white cardstock together, and I'm just using the 1-inch tape, or sorry, the 1/2-inch tape. You could use a narrower tape, even a 1/4-inch tape would be fine, but this is just what I have right now, so it's what I'm using. All right, and we're just gonna line it up at the bottom and at the top, and then just press down. All right, and then I'm going to bring in my chipboard. So I'm going to attach them like this. So I'm going to try to leave about 1 inch of a border, and then so this is how they're going to go on there. So I'm just using my Fabri-Tac for this step. Alright, so we're just going to get it all over the back. My Fabri-Tac is getting low. I'm going to have to pick up a new one soon. Alright, and it doesn't have to be super specific. Just give yourself enough room that you can wrap your paper around. And the wrapping for this notebook is identical to any mini album wrapping. So it's just a nice little change up, and I'm actually making mine as gifts for my kids' teachers. It's getting to that time of year. I know a lot of people in the US their kids get out of school at the end of May, but here in Alberta we go until the end of June. and then we don't start school again until the beginning of September. So we get the nice hot summer months because it doesn't really get hot here until July. So that works out perfectly. So we're attaching these, leaving about 1/8 of an inch of a gap between the front and back and our spine piece. And that's just to give the paper somewhere to go when we wrap the book. All right, and we're just gonna flip it over now and give it a good burnish with our bone folder, trying to use the side of the bone folder only to burnish it on. And now this is just kind of squishing that glue underneath and spreading it out. All right, now that that's done, we can go ahead and trim off the excess paper. And you could get your paper cutter out and do a really nice, neat job of this, but I'm pretty okay just doing it like this. So again, leaving about 1 inch of cardstock on all 4 sides. So now we can start bending in our cardstock right along our chipboard. And as I bend it in, I'm going to burnish it. And this pre-bending is super important before you glue it, because you can still make changes when you do this, whereas if you put the tape on here and the tape on here and then press it down, you can't make changes anymore. All right, give it a good burnish. Again on this side. It's a gloomy day here today. We've had rain for a couple of days straight now. So, perfect day to craft. All right, so now because we've done all our folding, we're gonna have 4 squares in all 4 of our corners. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut up and I'm gonna cut over, and then I'm gonna give it a little snip off the sides, just like that. And I'm gonna do that on all 4 sides. So now we can just go ahead and attach our tape. So we're going to put a strip of tape on all 4 sides on the chipboard, and then one at the top of each of our flaps. We're going to start by removing 2 of the short sides, the backing, and then 1 of the long sides. Clean up some of my mess there. All right, so now we're just going to bend this in, start in the middle and smooth it down across like that. And we're going to do the same thing on our other long side. Remove the backing and then bring it in and smooth it down just like that. And our final one here, well, that's one of the sides here, we're just going to take and bend in these corners just a little bit, just with your finger, just so it goes in nice and neat. And bring it in and press it down. And then final one down. So again, bring it in at the center and smooth it out to the sides. Okay, perfect. So now we're going to take our bone folder and just kind of go in here where our little things met. And then we can go ahead and varnish on these edges really well to make sure it adhered well. Alright, now we can bend that in, and we've got our cute little cover for our notebook. So now let's work on the outside of the spine that we're going to do here. And because we have now wrapped our spine with paper, it is now technically wider than 1 inch. So I'm going to show you how to get this on here and have it fit really nice and snug and perfect. So basically what I want to do is I want to add a 1/16 of an inch to each one of my sides. So this is technically 1 1/8 wide now. So but I want to add a 1/16 of an inch to this side and a 1/16 of an inch to this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm scoring in 1.5 inches from either side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line it up, and right before the 1.5 here, there is a little ridge, and I'm gonna mark at that ridge. And right before the 4, you would come into the 3.5 on this side, I'm gonna mark the ridge here. So that's a 1/16 of an inch larger than the 1 inch space, if that makes sense. So I'm not marking at 1.5, I'm marking at the little ridge piece right before it. So I'm coming in 1.5 inches on both sides, but I'm going to mark that little ridge piece because that's technically a 1/16 of an inch larger on each side than the 1 inch. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scooch it over so that I can score where I marked, because there's no actual score. You can't actually score there because it's just the little ridge. So that's how I'm going to get the space that I need for my spine. So I'm going to put that away. I don't need it again. So now I'm going to fold in on my score lines that I've created. Hopefully that made sense. I tried to explain it as best as I could. And if you guys have any questions about that, you can just go ahead and send me a message or just comment down below. And now that we've done that, when we put it on here now, it fits really nice and snug because we've given it that 1/16 of an inch allowance that we needed from the paper that we added to that 1 inch spine. 2 strips of tape, our double-sided tape down the center of the spine here, and we will add 1 here where it's going to attach to the book, and 1 there really close to the edge. We are also going to use Fabri-Tac on top of this because we really want it to be nice and strong, and we are attaching it to this fabric type material here that I'm using. So at first we're just going to remove the 2 backings that are on the center where it's attaching directly to the spine. And then we're going to take our Fabri-Tac and we're going to add Fabri-Tac all over that center piece. For now we're just adding it just on the center piece, like that. And then we will take our book, and we're gonna have some wiggle room because we've got the fabric tack there, and we're gonna make sure to attach it even top and bottom. And a good way to do that, I guess, is just to place it down, and then we can open it up. Keep making sure it's nice and even on our spine there. You can open that up now and give it a good burnish down from the inside. And then I have some excess down here, so I'm just going to go ahead and trim that off. I'd rather have too much than not enough. So we'll trim that off. Perfect. Alright, so now it's on our spine really nicely. So now we're going to lay this down, and we're going to take off the backings from one side of the spine cover piece here, and you're going to just put it all over that, and then you can just lay it down because it's not going to move, it's going to be in the same place. Alright, and now we can go ahead and do the other side. Like so. Just remove your tape backings, and then we will add the fabric tack all over the back here. Okay, and then again just press that down onto it, and we can burnish. And there is our spine all nice and covered with that beautiful craft text paper. So now let's go ahead and cover the inside of our spine here. So we need to add our tape to both sides of our spine, like so. And I'm going to add one more piece beside it there, because we definitely do not want it to bubble. And we'll try not to get too close to our edge here with the tape. Okay, so that's good. Alright, and then we will do 2 strips right on the spine. And then again, 2 strips over here on this side. Alright, now we can burnish that down, burnish the tape on. Your 4x8 piece, you're also going to do 2 strips of the double-sided tape on either side of the 4-inch side. Now we can go ahead and remove the backings. I'm working with a different double-sided tape today, and I'm used to working with score tape, and I find these backings remove a little bit harder. Alright, and now we're just going to go ahead and remove them from here as well. And then we'll be ready to stick it on, and the cover of our cute little notebook will be all ready to go. so now we're just going to place it on there, leaving about 1/8 of an inch top and bottom, because it is 1/4 of an inch shorter than our actual book. So just burnish that on really nicely. Alright, and then you can just kind of lift up the one side until you see your line for your spine. Same thing with this side. And then just give it a nice burnish in there. And then we'll just bring it in, and there we go. That's all covered inside now. Our spine is all covered, and now we're ready to add our binding system. Okay, for the binding system, what we're gonna need to do is measure in 1/4 of an inch from each side of our spine. It doesn't matter where on the spine you make your mark, just make sure that you're in 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to make my mark here at 1/4, and then I'm going to come in at 1/4 on this side here. And then I'm going to move my ruler down closer to the bottom of my spine. And I will do the same thing, measure in 1/4 from both sides of it. And then I'm going to take my ruler and line it up with my marks top to bottom and make my line, and I will do the same thing on the other side. So they don't have to go top to bottom, that's fine. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my crocodile and I'm gonna go in, and I'm gonna just go as far as it will let me on the 1/8 side. Make sure you're on the 1/8 side, not the larger hole, the smaller hole. And I'm gonna go in as far as it'll let me. And if you don't have a crocodile and you're measuring in and making the hole some other way, you're gonna measure in 1 inch from top and bottom. So I'm gonna go in, and I'm gonna make sure I can see the line through my crocodile, and I'm gonna make sure that it's centered in that hole. And then I'm gonna punch. And I have my little tool here to clean it out every time because it doesn't come out easily because we're going through 3 different layers of material there. Again, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna make sure it's in the center there. And I'm gonna punch. And I'm gonna do the same thing at the top. Alright, so now we've got our holes there, and you can go ahead and erase the lines we made. We don't need them anymore. Alright, so we're going to put that aside now and make the inside for our signatures. So you're going to start with 8 pieces of copy paper that measure 8.5 by 11. And you're going to cut them down to 8.5 by 8. And on the 8.5 inch side, you're going to fold it so that you're creating a piece that measures 4.25 by 8. So I've done that with 8 pieces. And I'm just going to pile them up on top of each other, open flat, with the 8.5 inch side going across. So just pile them all on top of each other. And you're going to need to make 2 of these. So you're going to repeat, after we're done this side, you're going to repeat the process and make 1 more of these signatures. So once you've got them all stacked up, just give them a nice little, like this, so that we know that they're all nice and even to each other there. All right, and then lay them down. So I've created a template, and what I did is I took one of my pieces like this and I punched an inch in from either side right on the spine, right on the where it folds. So I'm going to place it on top of here, and I'm going to make sure that it's nice and flat on top, and I'm going to mark my holes like that. So let's take the crocodile again, and we will punch our holes like so. And then on this side, you could clip these together, it might help you. All right, so we've got our holes there. Okay, so now I've got some black elastic cord here, and I just get this at the dollar store. And I'm going to bring it through the top hole, and I'm going to pull through about 9 inches or so. And then you want to give yourself a lot to work with, and then you can always cut it off after. And then we will also put it through our hole down here. Just like so. And then once you have it through both of those holes, we'll bring in our cover, and you will just go ahead and line it up with one of these holes and bring it through. And then this on the same line down here, bring it through that hole like so, and then pull it through the back, and then kind of make sure it's even top and bottom in there, and then you flip over your cover and you tie it up nice and tight. I'm just doing a bow so I can easily remove them and change them when I need to. Pull it nice and tight. And don't worry too much about what the bow looks like right now. We can fix it up afterwards. All right, so now we've got our first signature in the book. So now I'm going to repeat the steps and create another signature to go on this side, and then we will be ready to finish decorating our notebook. Okay, so let's decorate up our little notebook here. So for this notebook, I'm using the Fantasy Floral from Recollections, and it's a super pretty paper pad. Lots of really, really beautiful patterns. Very dark, kind of moody floral paper. Super, super pretty. Really nice cut aparts in it too. So I am going to give you the measurements for the matting. So for this front part here, right here, this piece here measures 3 1/8 by 8 1/4. So this is the piece that goes there. So let's go ahead and attach that. And I'm just going to use my Fabri-Tac. Just like this. And it's going to completely cover the white. So just be aware of that. And just smooth it down really nice. And then we're going to turn it over. we're going to do the back as well, and that piece again measures 3 1/8 by 8 1/4 for your matting. Alright, just make sure it's lined up really nicely. I might go over after and just rough up the edges of the paper a little bit, just because I always think that gives it a bit of a softer look, and that way if you did go over anywheres, then it smooths that out really nicely. Alright, so then I've got a strip here that measures 1 inch by 8 1/4, and it's going to go right here where the two join, where the paper and the craft text join. And we're just going to add glue all over the back of that strip. And we will just try to center it so that it's the same length on both of them. And if any glue pops out, just wipe it away. Then for the closure of my notebook, I'm going to use this really super pretty Recollections, oh sorry, it's Celebrated Aria. It's called Aria Vintage Rose and Vintage Blush Rose Antique Ribbon. And I'm going to just run it under my 2 elastic pieces here and bring a good bit of it around to the other side so that I have enough to tie with. And then once I have that done, I'm going to attach this piece right on top of here, and I'm going to use Fabri-Tac to attach it so that it stays down and also attaches the ribbon at the same time. So this is just one of the pieces that I cut out of the paper pad, and then the teacher I cut with my silhouette, and then this is just another little cut apart from the paper pad. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some foam tape to the back of this because I do want it to be popped up a little bit. Okay, so we've got our foam tape on. So I think I'm actually gonna put a little bit of the Fabri-Tac right under the ribbon here, just to be sure it's gonna stick well. Just kind of try to make sure it's going right where you need it to go there, and then I'm just going to tap it down just like that, and then we will also add the Fabri-Tac to our foam tape so it sticks to the ribbon, so otherwise it might not. Alright, and we're just going to add it right in the center like so. Alright, now let's flip it over to the back and we'll add some Fabri-Tac to the back here. And again, just kind of tap it on. Alright. It's all over my hands now. Alright, so to finish the inside of the book, we're going to add some pattern paper to the inside front and back covers, and it measures 4 1/4 by 8. So 4 1/4 wide by 8 tall. Again, we will just add our Fabri-Tac just place it right in there, making sure not to go across the line for our spine there. Alright. So I've already done the back cover exactly the same way. And that finishes off our cute little notebook. Perfect teacher's gift or any other occasion. And I will trim some of this off here. It's way too long. And I'm just going to kind of trim it at an angle there. And then I can do the other one the same, like so. Alright, and that is our cute little notebook. I just love it. I have to make 2 more, so I will make sure to post pictures of those as well. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a fantastic day. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe and hit the like button. Thanks so much. Bye.